While overlooking Liyue Harbor, the traveler takes a moment to stop and think over the recent revelations about her brother and the Abyss Order. Paimon comforts and encourages her to keep going, and the traveler regains her resolve to look for and confront the unknown god and demand answers. They try to brainstorm ways to get to their next destination, Inazuma, when they remember the one person they've met who is Inazuman, Atsuko. They head back to the harbor to ask Atsuko how to get into Inazuma. While she is able to give them an answer, she also warns them of the danger of the trip. She explains that the storm is not the only thing to worry about, as they will also have to worry about the strict isolationist policies and the authorities who will be hot on their trail if they're discovered. When the traveler refuses to be swayed by her warnings, she relents and refers them to Beidou, who may know how to break through the storm owing to her vast experience on the seas. Wasting no time, the traveler heads to Guyun Stone Forest, where the Alcor, the Crux Fleet's flagship, is anchored. Arriving at the ship, they find Beidou with an unknown man. Beidou recognizes the traveler, having heard of her exploits from Ningguang, and introduces the man of Kazuha, a temporary crew member. She mistakenly assumes that the traveler has approached her to join the Crux Clash, a visionless martial arts tournament she holds for renowned fighters. When Paimon explains they're not there for the tournament, she tries to encourage them to join anyway by revealing that the prize for this tournament is a masterless vision provided by Kazuha, who hopes that the tournament winner will be able to reawaken it. However, the traveler is not interested in the vision and is only looking for a way to get to Inazuma. Hearing that, Beidou changes gears and decides to change the prize. If the traveler wins the tournament, she will be able to choose between two prizes: the Masterless Vision or a ride to Inazuma on the Alcor. The traveler finally agrees and heads to the arena to sign up. At the arena, Paimon suggests they scope out their initial competition before signing up. However, after speaking to a few other contestants, they realize they won't have much competition. With newfound confidence, they head to the desk where a member of the crew, Zhuhan, is in charge of registering the combatants. She is shocked to see the traveler who helped Liyue fight off an ancient god joining the tournament, gathering attention from the other competitors and spectators. After proving that she doesn't have a vision and listing a few of her achievements so far for the sake of formality, the traveler is finally registered and ready to fight the first round. The first opponent, Jinyu, is easily no match for the traveler, even without the use of her elemental powers. Beidou, impressed with their skills, states that since putting her in, more people are coming to join, hoping to face off against her. She decides to put them straight through to the semifinals so that she doesn't need to waste her energy on fights well below her skill level. The next opponent, Rongshi, is more of a challenge, and the traveler barely prevails against him. After he's defeated, Rongji explains that he had no interest in the prize, and instead joined to pit himself against other strong fighters. He humbly accepts his defeat and even asks the traveler to spar with him again in the future. Rongshi is unable to tell her much about her next opponent, other than that they are fast and nimble, so they decide to ask around. Fortunately, she doesn't learn much and decides to go to Beidou for more information. Beidou only reiterates her opponent's speed, but Kazuha offers to give them more information if she follows him to a quieter place to talk. Once there, Kazuha reveals that he already knows about the traveler's ability to harness the power of the elements without a vision. As the traveler is unable to answer his questions about how she is able to do so, he instead tests her skills by having her fight some slimes. After the fight, Kazuha reassures her that her opponent's speed will stand no chance against her skill and gives her more tips about her opponent's fighting style. After telling her a bit more about Inazuma and the Electro Archon, they go back to the arena to await the final match. At the arena, The final match is about to start, but the challenger is a no-show, much to Beto's irritation. Kazuha then senses something is wrong, and the group checks on the box displaying the vision, only to discover it missing. He offers to look for it since it was his responsibility. The traveler accompanies him, and Kazuha reveals how he knows where the culprit is going and who they are. The culprit is Faye the Flyer, a treasure hoarder, who is surprised they managed to track him. He reveals that he signed up for the tournament and had intended to win fair and square, but after seeing the traveler defeat Rangshi, he knew he had no choice of beating her. Initially refusing to hand the vision over, he fights them, only to be bested. Kazuha threatens to kill Faye, but after nothing happens, he changes his mind and lets the treasure hoarder leave, confiscating the vision. Kazuha reveals that he'd been aware of the theft all along and hoped that Faye would have been able to resonate with the vision, as the gods typically grant them to those who prove great strength and resilience. He then asks the traveler to do so, but she is unable to either, so Kazuha hangs on to it. Paimon asks him why he is so obsessed with the vision, and Kazuha reveals that when the Raiden Shogun enacted the Vision Hunt Decree, his friend, another vision bearer, challenged her, only to die in the ensuing duel. Kazuha, who had just arrived and witnessed the final moments of the duel, snatched the vision and fled from his pursuers, hoping to keep the hope alive that his friend had. He had heard rumors of masterless visions reawakening in his travels, and as such was looking for someone to do so. Returning to the arena, the two learned from Zhu that Beidou was summoned by Ningguang regarding the tournament, and is filled in on the details by Kazuha. By default, Faye is disqualified, and the traveler is crowned the champion. Kazuha warns the traveler that the journey to Inazuma will be treacherous, even more so once she sets foot in the closed nation. He also tells her that the Alcor needs to resupply for the trip, and that she will be notified once ready. In the meantime, he intends to travel across Liyue to see if someone can reawaken the vision, hoping the two of them will enjoy their journeys. Wondering about the status of the Alcor, the traveler and Paimon head to Catherine at Liyue's guild branch. And just then, Sea Drake arrives, having been sent by Beidou to tell them that they are ready to set sail. Catherine says her farewells, but tells them that she will be waiting for them at Narukami Island. Beidou disembarks with the traveler and Paimon at Rito before being greeted by Toma, her business partner. The captain leaves the pair in his care since she can't stay around for too long with Kazuha on board, who is still a wanted fugitive. Toma later helps them pass the processing center to avoid suspicion, given the impossible request and the ridiculous amount of mora. After processing, Toma explains that there are some inspectors who try to increase the price of processing as much as possible for Outlanders, who cannot leave the nation due to the Sakoku decree. As such, the foreigners formed the International Trade Association to survive. He also learns they intend to meet with the Raiden Shogun, stating that he can help them do so, but in turn, they will need to help out others first, starting with the said association. Toma's friend and the president of the trade association, Kurisu, is surprised to see a new Outlander, and explains that since he and the foreigners have been stuck in the port, the Kanjo Commission has been bleeding them dry with absurd taxes. They originally had to pay mora, but they suddenly changed it to crystal marrow, which almost none of the association had heard of. Even worse, their attempts to look for it caused the item to skyrocket in both taxes and price from the only source available, leaving them in danger of homelessness. The traveler offers to assist, with Kurisu accepting, as she isn't affiliated, and as a newcomer, the vendor might drop his guard. The merchant, Werner, realizes she was sent by the association and refuses to negotiate. Returning to Toma, he tells them that Werner hails from Mondstadt and found a patron after leaving the association. Giving an item from both Mondstadt and Liyue, the vendor gives in to his emotions and admits that he is playing a scheme by Kejiro and his companions. They buy all of the crystal marrow and give it to him, who sells the excess back to the association at profit, and the cycle repeats. Despite his role in the plot, he is barely paid. Tracking him down, they spot Kejiro burying a ledger. Warner tells her to send it to Kurisu, as he is too afraid to confront the president. Kejiro demands payment from the association when the Traveler and Paimon arrive and expose his wrongdoings. Cornered, the corrupt officer offers to give them his spare marrows to keep the case quiet, but Harrison, angered at the injustice, demands more and calls the commissioner by name, prompting a passing Katsui to order the merchants arrested. Before that could happen, Toma intervenes and hands them a card from the Ashiro Commission and displays a peculiar ornate fan, making Katsui decide to drop the incident to avoid having a problem with her. Taking them aside, Toma explains that he is actually an attendant of the Kamisato clan, taking care of the clan's eldest daughter, Kamisato Ayaka, the Shirasagi Himigimi. Ayaka has heard of their feats and is expecting their arrival, hoping they can change the tides, the Vision Hunt decree. Although the Traveler is uninterested in helping, insistent on pursuing her goal, Toma agrees to help her meet the Electro Archon anyway, and asks to meet him at Komore Tea House. After he leaves, the pair remembers that they still can't leave Rito, but as Toma was unlikely to have forgotten it, they believe it must be part of the test. Since they still need a travel permit to leave Rito, Paimon suggests they head to the Kanjo office to meet with the commissioner, Hiragi Shinsuke. Upon arriving at his residence, he walks out and notices the Traveler. Hiragi agrees to help, but only after the Traveler agrees to complete an unbearable request. The Traveler initially is flabbergasted and finds it too strenuous, but after spotting a woman behind Hiragi who silently nods her head, the Traveler agrees to think about it. Leaving the office, they secretly receive a letter through a bodyguard from Miss Hiragi asking to meet late at night. Shisato asks them to deliver a letter to Kujo Kamaji of the Tenryo Commission and reveals that a few days before their arrival, an arrogant-sounding woman arrived and conspired with her father to keep the Traveler on Rito. The following day, she heads to a supply convoy and uses her position to force the two escort gods to accept the Traveler as her bodyguard. On the way, they fight off bandits, and arriving at the destination, Chisato returns to Rito, wishing them luck and reminding them to bring the letter to Kamaji for their permit. Arriving at the tea house, the pair is greeted by Toma inside, who pulls a trick on them by pretending to be the dog Tarumaru. Toma apologizes for the test, as it was necessary if they can change the lightning. Toma promises to bring them to the Kamisato residence after they visit the statue of the Omnipresent God, still under construction. There, Toma explains about how the Raiden Shogun declared the Vision Hunt decree, and that the gems embedded in the statue are the seized visions. The Traveler touches the statue and suffers a headache as she hears the aspirations of the vision's owners, surprising Toma and Paimon. Later, at the Kamisato residence, Ayaka greets them while concealed on the other side of a screen, having anticipated their arrival. She hopes that the Traveler would assist in the fight against the Shogun, but she again refuses. Having been informed already by Toma, Ayaka is not surprised and so compromises with her, promising to bring her to the Shogun if she visits 3 people who had their visions confiscated from them. At the first location, Konda Village, the Traveler finds an old couple, Mahiro and Kenjiro, trying to persuade a younger man, Tejima, not to leave. Inquiring about the man, Tejima was a samurai who became visionless, With his vision gone, he has had trouble remembering why he stayed at the village for so long, and intends to leave and become a wandering samurai. The pair offers to help her refresh his memory, which he accepts. They find a paper that explains why he stayed at the village, to wait for his lover, but she never came. After the events, Tejima then chooses to remain in the village to wait for her, although wondering if she would ever come. The next person is a samurai of the Tenryou Commission who had their vision confiscated, found in Inazuma City. As Paimon wonders why the shogunate would take action against one of their own, they hear a commotion breaking out. Two men are accusing a samurai, Kurosawa Kinasuke, of withholding emergency rations from them. He had originally given it to them on request, but it now is withholding it for no reason. Speaking to the samurai, he tells them that despite enforcing the vision hunt decree, he was told he had been slacking off to the point that he even disappointed the Raiden shogun, causing him to lose his vision. He had forgotten what he'd done every month, and is not even aware of the rations themselves. Just recently, he was pursuing some treasure hoarders when the men stopped him and asked the traveler to track them down, believing she would have stolen the rations. Believing the treasure hoarders would have stolen the rations. They find the treasure hoarders nearby, who are commenting on the recent plunder. After beating them up, Tadao tries to recruit them, but the traveler refuses and inquires about Kurosawa. Tadao states that Kurosawa's house had nothing apart from a box, which he offers in return for his and his men's freedom. Opening the box, they are surprised to find that it only contains IOUs, all addressed to a Miss Aoi of Asuko Momono Groceries, and the treasure hoarder gang leaves. Heading to Aoi, she tells them that Kurosawa always bought foodstuffs regularly from her store to give to the people, even taking on debt to ensure their well-being. She also recalls that he has a prized sword, which she would have gladly accepted as payment for his debts, but he had declined. Returning to Kurosawa once more, he learns the truth and explains the history of his sword to them. He also threatening the rioting men with the sword, even though he felt himself unable to go through with the act, and is troubled that he cannot be good or bad, wondering what to do. With the second person dealt with, they head to the final client, a swordmaster known for Meikyu Shishui art, who is also in the city. Outside the dojo, they find two disciples worried about their sensei's well-being. The traveler made a ruse that she had come to learn from their master, seeing that the disciples were wary beyond reason. Junya apologizes, stating that with all the trouble recently, he is on high alert. Their sensei, Domon, is believed to be possessed and is recovering, explaining his history and that he took a turn for the worse when his vision was taken. As such, they have hired shrine maidens from the Grand Narukami Shrine to exorcise the demon possessing him. While the exorcism is in motion, Paimon spots a suspicious person nearby, and the traveler pursues them. The man is surprised they caught up so fast, believing Domon had improved their skills in the past few years. He reveals himself to be Anzai, the oldest disciple of his sensei in the art, until Domon surpassed both him and their master. When he heard Domon had lost his mind, he came back to see if the rumors were true. To his surprise, Domon called out for him. He then tells them to head back to the dojo as he suspects the ritual is about to end. The exorcism has ended, but the maiden, Inagi Hotomi, had not sensed any demon possessing Domon. However, she is unsure if another form of demon has possessed him, and tells them that Lady Yai has taken notice of the unusual case. She tells them to come to the shrine tomorrow and leaves. At the shrine, Yai inspects Domon and states that he is not possessed, much to the disciples' surprise. The vision gave Domon immense aspirations, and when it was seized, the gruesome fact that he had destroyed the aspirations of his past deeds rushed back into him, turning him maniacal. Anzai walks in, much to Domon's surprise, and tells him that he had accepted the fact that his aspirations were gone and had passed them to Domon. Now that Domon's aspirations are gone, he urges them to pass it to his disciples, who are still willing to learn from him. Domon eventually realizes the meaning behind Anzai's words and promises to, thanking Yai for her help with his disciples before leaving. Yai then speaks with the traveler, having anticipated her arrival, albeit premature. Nonetheless, she mysteriously states that she has high expectations for her, and she better not disappoint her. Paimon then suggests they return to Ayaka. Ayaka introduces herself in person this time, and explains the reasoning why she sent them to 3 former vision bearers. Having seen the suffering firsthand, the traveler finally agrees to help. Heading to the tea house, Ayaka explains about the Resistance's actions. One of their operations, creating fake visions, was halted when the craftsman responsible for making them, Master Masakatsu, had been arrested. Ayaka wishes to break him out, but cannot risk either her or Toma leading the operation. Therefore, the traveler would do the job. She states that there will be more people willing to help and sends them to the Naganahara fireworks. There, they find members of the Tenryo Commission threatening a vision bearer. Before the traveler could intervene, a young woman grabbed her attention. Paimon scolds her for not letting her interfere as the samurai take the vision, but minutes later, learn that the samurai had been fooled by a ruse, as the vision bearer thanks her for passing along the fake that was just confiscated. The woman, Yoimiya, is known throughout Inazuma for her fireworks. Despite this, she was not exempt, but managed to elude confiscation of her own vision due to Masakatsu's craftsmanship. Yoimiya learns from Paimon that the two were sent by Ayaka to break Masakatsu out. Arriving at the police station, the traveler and Yoimiya enter through a back door, upon which she leaves them to finish her gift. The 3 eventually arrive at the main holding cell, where the guards are torturing Masakatsu. But before they can do anything, Kujo Sara comes in, checks on Masakatsu, and then reprimands the guards for torture. She soon hears Yoimiya's footsteps and orders the guards to investigate. Yoimiya then sets off her gift to distract the guards as they rescue Masakatsu. Sara then spots them in the act, but allows them to leave as Masakatsu needs urgent care, but warns the craftsman that she'll bring him back in when he's recovered. Yoimiya and Masakatsu thank the traveler and Paimon, who then return to the tea house to inform Ayaka of the good news. Toma also states that the Tenryo Commission has been tasked with a ceremony of sorts, and suggests they spend the next few days relaxing, which Ayaka accepts. After having a hot pot game, the group separates. The traveler and Paimon return to Komore Tea House to learn about their next operation with Kamisato Ayaka and Toma. However, they discover that Toma is not present, with Ayaka arriving shortly after with news that the Tenryo Commission has taken him to the statue of the Omnipresent God to become the 100th victim of the Vision Hunt Decree, which will be commemorated by a public ceremony where the Raiden Shogun will make a personal appearance. With hardly any time left before the ceremony begins, Ayaka is willing to storm in alone to rescue her friend. However, the traveler and Paimon remind her that she cannot personally intervene without endangering the neutrality of the entire Yashiro Commission, and convince her to let them rescue Toma instead. After witnessing the traveler use electro powers without a vision, the Raiden Shogun steps in, declaring the traveler to be an exception, which she deems to be the enemy of eternity. Brandishing her might, the Raiden Shogun pulls the traveler into an alternate dimension. The traveler proves to be no match for the Raiden Shogun and is quickly incapacitated. Before she can finish her off, Toma distracts her and escapes with the traveler and Paimon. the Raiden Shogun orders the traveler's arrest, vowing to strike twice next time. Now wanted criminals, Toma tells the traveler and Paimon to take refuge with the Wat Tatsumi army, which is leading a resistance against the Vision Hunt decree, while he takes refuge in Komore Tea House, safely within Yashiro Commission territory. Because the Resistance's whereabouts are secret, the traveler has to find them herself. While making her way westward into the wire zone, the traveler and Paimon come across a lone resistance soldier named Teppei, surrounded by shogunate troops. They rescue him, and he readily agrees to take them to meet General Goro, the Resistance's commanding officer. However, he warns them that the Resistance is at a disadvantage, as the Shogun's army has the powerful Kujo Sara's leadership. During her meeting with Goro, the traveler impresses him with her feats at the Vision Hunt decree, and she is readily welcomed into the Resistance. Goro has Teppei show her around the camp, and the traveler helps a few soldiers she meets. A sudden attack by the Shogun's army leads Teppei to suspect that there is a traitor within the camp. Before he can try to root them out, he is persuaded to use his skill and logistics to reinforce the camp's weak spots. Though he gets the job done, Teppei bemoans his inability to contribute further and make a name for himself on the battlefield. When they go to report back to Goro, they find that he has gone to the front lines to intercept the Shogun's army, which is personally being led by Kujo Sara. Though she promises that she has only come for the traveler, Goro refuses to give her up. When the traveler personally appears at the scene, Sarada decides to propose a fight of honor, a ceremonial contest before a battle in which two opposing sides are represented by their finest warriors. Goro explains that this can give a weaker force a morale boost should their warrior win, though Sarah's motivation is to capture the traveler should they lose. He states that they should not feel like they have to accept, though the traveler does so anyway. The traveler's consecutive victories give the resistance courage, and the two sides engage in direct combat. Though the Shogun's army begins to get the upper hand, the resistance's leader, Sangonomiya Kokumi, appears with surprise mercenary reinforcements, among which are Beidou and Kaidahara Kazuha. With their advantage lost, Sarah demands a retreat. Kokumi invites the traveler to Wat Tatsumi Island to discuss further plans for their counterattack against the shogunate. Teppei takes the traveler to Wat Tatsumi Island for their meeting with Sangonomiya Kokumi. She tells them how she recently accepted an anonymous letter's offer to provide the resistance with material so long as they continue to fight the Inazuma shogunate. Despite her doubts about the sender's motive, Watatsumi's island's lack of resources left her with little alternative. As the conversation turns to the Vision Hunt decree, Kokumi voices her opinion that the Tenryou commissions and the Raiden Shogun's attitude towards it don't add up. After affirming the traveler's resolve to aid the resistance despite its precarious situation, Kokumi immediately makes her captain of Swordfish 2, a special operations unit. Teppei, eager to step into the battlefield himself, asks for a combat role and is promised one. After completing her first task with the members of Swordfish 2, the unit is assigned to investigate the mysterious disappearance of supplies around Fort Mume. They stay in Boro village to train for a few days and chat with Teppei, who has since become the captain of a newly formed special operations unit himself. He gives a glowing review of their new sponsor supplies and departs for his next mission in high spirits, leaving Paimon awed by Teppei's unexpected improvement. While the investigation at Fort Mume fails to reveal any leads, they notice some oddities in the area. Teppei arrives to assist with graying hair and a persistent cough. He dismisses his condition to a cold he got at sea, and explains that the strange atmosphere that they are feeling is caused by the Tatarigami, a phenomenon which emerged after the death of Orobashi, the god of Watatsumi Island, slain by the A during the Archon War. Since then, Narukami Island and Watatsumi Island have had poor relations. Teppei parts ways with them, warning them that Tatarigami can have ill effects on one's health. Upon returning to Watatsumi Island, the traveler finds Kokomi and General Goro discussing one of the secret weapons that an officer surrendered to Goro and their effects on members of the resistance who have held on to them. The traveler is horrified to identify the weapon as a vitality-absorbing delusion, revealing the resistance's mysterious monster is none other than the Fatui. Kokomi orders that the resistance be informed to stop using delusions immediately, and the users be recalled for medical treatment. Revealing that Teppei's condition and sudden burst in combat prowess is likely the result of using one, the traveler rushes off to find him, and finds herself too late. Teppei, now with the physical appearance of an old man, is distraught that the new power he thought he had finally attained has instead led to his demise. As Teppei's life fades away, the traveler is overcome by fury and swears revenge on the Fatui. To salvage the situation that the Fatui have landed them in, the traveler decides to dismantle their delusion factoring scheme on her own. Although Kokomi realizes that the Fatui must have had local support, she is unable to calm the traveler down and hesitantly gives her the delusion factory's suspected location. Inside, the traveler and Paimon realize that the delusions are being produced with crystal marrow collected by the Kanjo Commission, and they can find a notice revealing that the supposed resistance member Nathan is actually a Fatui mole sent to sabotage them. The two cut their way through the facility before finding themselves face to face with the Balladeer, one of the 11 Fatui harbingers. He takes glee in mocking the weak, and reveals how all of Inazuma has fallen for the Fatui schemes, goading the traveler into falling for his trap. As the traveler succumbs to the Tatarigami and falls unconscious, Yae Miko arrives at the scene. The traveler reawakens at the Grand Narukami Shrine, having been rescued by Yae Miko. After reassuring her that Kokomi has resolved the situation at the Delusion Factory, Miko explains that she has taken an interest in her, given that she met A, the true Raiden Shogun who dwells within her inner world, known as the Plane of Euthymia. The Shogun who manages Inazuma's affairs is a puppet made in her likeness, designed with the singular pursuit of eternity. The traveler intrigued A enough to become the first person to meet her since she entered the Plane of Euthymia, which Miko believes to be the key of both saving Inazuma and A from a disastrous future. Miko puts the traveler through grueling training so she can survive the Electro Archon's attacks, let alone defeat her. Even though neither the traveler nor the resistance is any match for A in direct combat, Miko is convinced that both will be able to play their parts when the time comes. To weaken the Tenryo Commission, which is spearheading the war, Yae Miko plans to turn Kujo Sara against them by proving that Kujo Takayuki, Sara's adoptive father and the head of the Kujo clan, has betrayed the shogunate. Having invited Sara to the shrine, Yae promises the general that they will provide the evidence if Sara agrees to secretly return alone in 3 days to hear them out further. To find the evidence they need, the traveler returns to Komore Tea House to meet with Kamisato Ayaka and Toma. With the help of Yoimiya, who supplies the traveler with a distraction so that the Shumatsuben Ninja Sayu can more easily infiltrate the Tenryo Commission, they successfully attain Takayuki's falsified, optimistic report of the shogunate's war efforts and a correspondence with the Fatui. Upon reading the documents, Kujo Sara is infuriated by what she sees and storms off to confront her adopted father. Before the traveler and Paimon can chase after her, Miko advises them that the only way to meet A will be to recreate the scenario as with their first encounter. She also gives them an omamori as a farewell gift, imparting to them vague promises about what it can do for them. The two join up with Sara and fight their way through the Tenryou guards until they reach Takayuki. In the ensuing confrontation, he confirms all that they have read, revealing his selfish reasons for accepting the Fatui's proposals. After learning that the Fatui Harbinger Signora is meeting with the shogun at Tenshukaku, Sara runs off to confront her, with the traveler and Paimon following shortly after. By the time the traveler reaches Tenshukaku, she finds that Signora has defeated Sara. While Sara's Inazuman heritage spares her from further harm, Signora reminds the traveler in her ensuing confrontation that she has no such provision as Inazuma's most wanted criminal. Remembering that the victor of a duel before the throne is given a second chance, the traveler challenges Signora to a duel, and the shogun approves it. Despite the odds, Signora is defeated and is executed by the shogun's Muso no Hitotachi, her most powerful technique. The traveler and Paimon, shaken by the display of the shogun's strength, are permitted to leave Tenshukaku alive. Outside Tenshukaku, the traveler and Paimon run into the resistance forces led by Goro. Just then, the shogun cuts through the space behind the traveler, intending to execute them. Kaidahara Kazuha miraculously resonates with his late friend's masterless vision, using its electro power combined with his animo vision to block the Muso no Hitotachi and knock the shogun back. Although she quickly recovers, witnessing the incredible feat invigorates the resistance members, and they charge at her. To prevent them from being slaughtered, the traveler attacks the shogun and is brought into the plain of Euthymia. A turns out to have been aware of the Fatui's involvement all along, having deemed visions, specifically the pursuit of one's aspirations, to be a greater threat to eternity than a temporary war, her own inaction having been tactic approval. Their clash of wills turns into a duel once again. In the middle of their battle, Miko uses the omamori to enter the plain of Euthymia, reminding the traveler that she is fighting on behalf of those who wish for the Vision Hunt Decree's abolition. The light of human ambition from the confiscated visions outside illuminates the dark and gloomy plain of Euthymia, and the traveler defeats A with her newfound strength. After A recounts her motivations for pursuing eternity, experiencing the death of her close companions and her sister Makoto, and witnessing the heavenly principle's destruction of Conria, Miko eventually persuades her that the idea of eternity is bringing too much suffering and loneliness to even herself, pointing out that even the sky of the plain had lit up with a pre-dawn light as A had emotionally lit up with meeting her friend after so long. Conceding to Miko's point, A agrees to abolish the Vision Hunt Decree, but tells him that she will need time to reconsider her approach towards ruling Inazuma. After the dust has settled, the traveler and Paimon meet with Yae Miko. Their delight over stopping the Fatui's plans is dampened when Miko reveals that she rescued them from the balladeer by giving him the electronosis. Having no more use for it, A had entrusted it to her long before entering the plain of Euthymia with the knowledge that Nico would sell it, but only for something equally as valuable. As a gesture of thanks for their contributions to Inazuma, Miko offers to answer whatever questions they might have. Her answers give a few important pieces of information. The balladeer was A's prototype puppet who was recruited into the Fantoi and augmented until he was strong enough to become the Sixth Harbinger, and that knowledge is managed as a resource in Sumeru, the traveler in Paimon's next stop, although Miko is unsure whether this was Lesser Lord Kusanali's decision or the sage's. In her parting statement, Miko speculates that the traveler's lack of a vision may actually be because they have not yet found an ambition strong enough for them to receive one. The traveler in Paimon accepts a commission from Yue Hui, a miner, regarding strange helichurl activity in the chasm. Believing the Abyss Order is involved, the two venture into the depths of the underground mines and discover an inverted city which reminds them of the defiled statue. Just then, Dainsleif appears from a portal behind them, having pursued an Abyss Herald through its portal only to be separated from it. When Dainsleif chased the Traveler's twin into a portal the last time they saw each other, the same thing happened to him then. This prompts the Traveler to ask about his background, which Aether alerted to during their last confrontation, as well as the relationship between the two. Dainsleif tells her that Twilight Sword was his title as captain of Conria's Royal Guard 500 years ago. Aether, meanwhile, was his traveling companion in search for their fates, but they did not make it to the journey's end together. He quickly changes the subject back to the Abyss Order, which he suspects has plans for the area, and the trio moves further in to investigate. The investigation leads Dainsleif to suspect that the helichurls have come to the chasm to live out the end of their lives, sensing that this area mitigates the curse of immortality placed on Conrians during the cataclysm, although he is unsure of the principles at work. They are interrupted by two attacking Black Serpent Knights, who were Dainsleif's subordinates before they succumbed to the curse and lost their minds. However, one knight does not attack them, instead staring at Dainsleif before retreating. The group ponders whether it recognized Dainsleif, a feat he believed was impossible without it. After reaching the inverted city, Dainsleif believes that the city likely belonged to a civilization older than Conria. They defeat some Black Serpent Knights and discover they were protecting a group of hilichurls at the end of their lives, confirming Dainsleif's earlier suspicions. Before the Black Serpent Knight reinforcements can attack, the knight from earlier stops them and silently orders them to retreat. Dainsleif believes the knight must be Halfdan, a Royal Guard elite during the Cataclysm whom he ordered to inform all Black Serpent Knights to protect the people of Conria at all costs. Ever since then, despite the curse eroding their minds, these knights have been trying to fulfill their last orders. No longer impeded by the Black Serpent Knights, the group climbs to the summit and finds a water pool, a relic of the ancient civilization and the source of the area's ability to weaken the curse. Before they can investigate the strange devices located around it, Halfdan then arrives and urges them to follow him. The three end up in a hilichurl camp, where the traveler finds an Intivat, the Conria national flower. Upon touching it, she has a vision of her brother and an Abyss Herald discussing their plan to amplify the water pool's special properties, remove the curse from the gathered hilichurls, and restore the homeland. Due to a reality-changing nature of the curse, Dainsleif deems this is a futile effort and tells the traveler that it would only bring the hilichurls even more suffering. The traveler decides to help him stop Aether's plan, believing that he has no right to subject others to near-guaranteed suffering for an infinitesimally small chance of redemption. As they leave the settlement, the Abyss Order puts their plan into motion. After vanquishing the Abyss Herald attempting to delay them, the group rushes back to destroy the device. Just as they enter the chamber, an Abyss Lector activates the amplification device, causing all those affected by the curse to experience agonizing pain. Halfdan sacrifices himself to temporarily stop the device, buying the traveler enough time to defeat the Lector and destroy the mechanisms powering the device. In the wake of Halfdan's death, the distraught party turns to leave when Halfdan's soul appears before them, briefly conversing with Dainsleif before passing on. Dainsleif leaves to recuperate from the device's effects and to investigate the Abyss Order's Loom of Fate project, while the Traveler and Paimon report back to Yuehei.